Hi, my name is Mr. Swope, or Tom Swope. I want to welcome you to AP Computer Science and just take a couple minutes to explain what we're going to be doing this year in the course. Before we get into the actual course content, I will talk just a little bit about myself and why I think studying computer science is so vitally important. So I have a lot to get through, so I'll just try to probably move pretty quickly so that I'm sure you're going to have a ton of these videos to watch tonight. So anyway, let's get into it. About myself. I do have two little kids, and my wife Lori's in the picture at the bottom. My daughter Ellie's in 5th grade. My son Zach is in 2nd grade. My wife is a teacher as well. She teaches at a small Christian school out by nearby where we live in Exton. And my son's actually in her class this year, so I'm hoping it should be a good experience for both of them. We got a dog just recently. This is our dog Boaz. He's a lot of fun, has a ton of energy, loves catching a frisbee. I think this is him when he was just like 4 months old. He's getting really good at it. It's fun to watch. He loves running and hiking and just being around us all the time. So there's our dog. When I'm not here, I have a lot of hobbies. I play guitar. Here's a guitar I built this last spring. I also like to work on my house. These are hardwood floors that I put in over the summer, put in about 2,000 square feet of hardwood floor. So I can't say that was fun, but I think the results were worth it. Still have some work to do. As you can see, all the trim and stuff is missing, but it's getting there. I also love biking and running and just being outside whenever I can. So yeah, that's me. All right, let's get into the more important stuff. So why computer science? I mean, your son or daughter is now in their 2nd year, so I think everybody realizes perhaps how important computer science is, but still, just want to share a couple quick numbers with you from code.org's website. So everybody's very excited about the STEM fields for good reason, right? I mean, it's really where it's at in my opinion. But I don't think what gets recognized enough is not just that STEM itself is important, but out of all the STEM fields, I think computer science is perhaps the most important, or maybe I should say the biggest need right now. You can see that 67% of all new jobs in STEM are in the field of computer science. It says computing, but you can read that as computer science. But only 11% of STEM bachelor's degrees are in computer science. So there's a huge demand and very small supply. On top of that, it pays incredibly well. Right? I love to show this slide to my Computer Science 1 students every year because I don't think anything speaks quite as powerfully as big stacks of money. So you can see if you just go through high school and get a degree, you can expect over your lifetime to make about a little over $500,000, which sounds great. If somebody was to offer it to me, I'd be very happy. But over your life, that's not great, right? That's a little over around $20,000 a year, which is not good. You get a college degree, you can generally expect that to double. So that just takes in any sort of college degree of any sort. And interesting, or point of the slide is, if you do major in computer science, look, you can expect to make 40% more than the average college graduate. Now, these numbers themselves might be a bit dated, but the ratio still holds true. Now, for me, it's not just about money. I think it's about two other things, right? Opportunities. So there are currently, it's about 500,000 openings in the field of computer science. So there's opportunity. On top of that, I think it's a field that students really genuinely enjoy. This is, again, done from a study of asking students, what subjects do you like? And computer science is right at the top with performing arts and just arts in general, which I think is, to me, it makes sense to see a class like computer science up with those sorts of arts, because I think computer science allows students to create, to express themselves, to do something that they could not do otherwise without having this really important skill. And I've been very fortunate over my 15 years of teaching to see students become incredibly engaged in this field, and it's something I hope to continue to build on. So at Lower Merion, we now have 4 years of computer science, which is really exciting. With CS1 and 2, which everybody took last year, currently in AP Computer Science A. There's a new course called AP Computer Science Principles, which precedes the course that they're in right now. This course will be followed up with Computer Science Seminar. Computer Science Seminar is a year-long course where students are taught how to create iOS apps, so apps that they can run on their iPhone or iPad. So the first half of the year, they learn. Second half of the year, they work collaboratively in teams of coders, design students, and language students to design, implement, and market an app. They also work alongside mentors from the community as they go through that process. It's just a really great class. I think personally, and obviously I'm biased, but I think it's perhaps the most meaningful and exciting class that you can take during your 4 years here at Lower Merion High School. So I hope everybody continues on and takes that next year. New this year, we have 2 semester-long courses. The first is called Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, and the other is Cybersecurity. So those are also great classes that we're just introducing this year. Okay, so what will we learn this year? Well, we'll continue to learn Java, right? So we're going to begin moving into object-oriented concepts. First, we'll kind of backtrack a little bit. This is a different year. We were not in the building when we learned about classes, so we're going to start by revisiting that final and very important topic. Then we'll move into collections like arrays and array lists. After that, we'll talk about inheritance, which again is a really important object-oriented concept. After that, we'll get into searching and sorting. This is a project that students will write later in the year where I give them large files of numbers and give them some starter code with graphics. And the basic idea is each rectangle here, its height is based on the size of the number. So the bigger the number, the larger the rectangle, right? And they use a bunch of different sorting algorithms to get those numbers in order, and they're illustrating them as they go. And then we will also visit recursion. This is Sierpinski's carpet, which is kind of a famous recursive algorithm. Okay, so last thing I guess I would say is, well, I'm sorry, not quite last. How will we learn? I think I have 3 goals for what we're going to learn, and I kind of correlate them with how we're going to go about learning and hopefully reaching those goals. So first and perhaps most important, I don't know, biggest part, I guess I should say, maybe not most important, but where we'll spend the majority of our time is learning how to write and debug code. So the debugging process isn't always fun, but it's obviously a very important skill if you're going to be a programmer. So I try to help students through that. It can get frustrating at times, but we all get through it. Builds great persistence, great problem solving skills. I love seeing students develop in this area. Second important skill that we want to develop is learning how to read code. So this is a field that they decide to pursue. Very rarely would you write a project from beginning to end just by yourself. In fact, I just don't think it happens anymore. You almost always have to take code that somebody else wrote and modify it, or at least work with a library that somebody else has created or a framework. So students need to learn how to read and understand code that already exists. The main way we'll work on and assess this understanding is through Kia.com. So we'll have these occasional, they're called quizzes, but really they're just practice, right? So they can take them multiple times. I'll explain the process to the students. If you have any questions about what that looks like, you can obviously just shoot me an email. But the idea is that we're going to be doing a lot of practice reading code just to get better at it, also to help us prepare for the AP exam. And then the final thing, goal, what we want to learn is students need to be able to understand and explain the concepts themselves. So I think a common misconception is that computer science is just being able to sit down and write code, right? I mean, that's obviously a big part of it, and I think I said that's probably the biggest part, but I would say just as important is being able to communicate and understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. So I do kind of assess this understanding through weekly quizzes. As soon as we're back in the building, we'll be having quizzes every Wednesday, but it's also a big part of what we do every day every single day in class with just the daily communications that we have. So really trying to help and make sure that students really thoroughly understand what it is that they're doing. All right, so last thing now, I promise that I'm going to talk about is just things that we'll be doing related to computer science outside of class, and strongly encourage students to get involved in the many things that we're doing as part of our computer science club. We plan a lot of big events, several big events, the first of which is CodeLM. CodeLM is a multi-high school programming competition that we've been holding, I think, for 5 years now. It's sponsored by SIG, which is located over on City Line Avenue. And we bring in generally about between 100 and 150 students from local high schools. We give them problems that we've been writing and working on throughout the school year, and it's been a really great success. It's been really cool to see the Lower Merion students take ownership of it, get really enthusiastic and excited about it, and it's also been fun to see other students from throughout the area come in and have a great day. So that's the first thing that we've been working through, and Programming Club will be a part of. The second event that we plan is called Girls Hack LM. So last year was the first year that we ran this event. Women, girls in general, are very much underrepresented in the very important field of computer science. So we planned this event as a way to encourage girls throughout the area to consider studying computer science. Once again, it's held or was held at SIG, and the hope is that we'll get to do so again this year. And it was a really cool event. Girls worked together in teams along with a mentor from Lower Merion and a mentor from SIG to create a game, and it was just cool to be a part of. Last thing is Program.it. So while girls are very much underrepresented, I think minority students are underrepresented even more so in the field of computer science. I believe nationally, maybe somewhere along somewhere along 7% of all computer science students that take the AP Computer Science A exam, only 7% of them are from minority groups. At Lower Merion, that's about where our numbers are as well. So that's something that I'm really committed to changing. Last year, we took a handful of students to a place called Flux in Norristown, and we had a remarkable day of programming microbits and drones, along with working alongside of mentors who are in the field to hopefully inspire some students to consider studying computer science. And it was a really great event. I think, quite honestly, it was the highlight of my year last year. So that's what we're doing here with computer science at Lower Merion General. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, send me an email, give me a call. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm looking forward to what's going to be a great year.